It has been said that a woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until she gets in hot water. Ladies and gentlemen, for the following panel on Women in Credit, please welcome International Manager at GrowJob, Adela Shika. Head of Logistics and Credit Management at Roche, Alexandra Zubac. Senior Credit Manager at Alexion, Stephanie Dinklage. And Senior Management Credit and Collections EMEA at Medtronic, Rose El Khoury.
What a celebrity welcome, isn't it? I would like to start with thanks to Mark and everybody who organizes this and gives a little space for women to talk in a little bit of especially women panel. Just so you know what I'm doing and what my company does is that we transfer scientific findings and put them in simple tools, and we try to teach people how to live their life more fulfilling and how to do their jobs better. And sadly, we're coming over a lot of problems, including having women as bosses, problems like glass ceilings, different paychecks. And so I was really happy that ACC gave us a little bit of time to talk with those three special ladies about some of those problems and some of the things they're doing and sharing their experiences. I would like to give them now a little bit of time to talk about themselves and tell us something, what is the most important for them in the area of women of credit. Rose, if we can start with you, is that okay?
Okay, so I'm Rose El Khoury. I am originally from Lebanon, but I've been living in Switzerland since almost 14 years. I started my career in credit accidentally, I would say, because I come from a completely different background. I started with Tyco at that time. So for you to understand Tyco, it was built from like acquisitions, and they had like the healthcare sector. In 2007, they split different companies, and then the healthcare became Covidien. And recently, last year, Covidien was acquired by Medtronic. So now we're in the phase of integration. So we're still between Covidien and Medtronic. Nevertheless, so I started within Tyco, and then I always had in mind that it's not, I won't build a career in credit. I will switch at certain stage and then come back to what I originally studied. This, of course, did not happen. I'm someone who likes like contact with people. I had a lot of social activities, and when I started in credit, this gave me this exposure to different cultures, to different type of people. So I started somehow to like it, and then this is when I started to enrich my knowledge. So I did several courses and trainings, and then during all that time, I mean, I was like supported by many people, and maybe luckily enough, and most of them, I would say, they were men. They believed in me, and I would like really to mention David Winner, who's still my boss until the end of this month. He is part of the ACCEE, and he actually he's behind me being here today. So as I mentioned, I was supported, so I was able to develop my career. So from being a normal accounts receivable clerk, I moved through different positions, taking increasing responsibilities, and I'm now managing like the EMEA emerging market credit. I would like to say that being a woman in credit is like a double-edged sword. So from one side, you have exposure to different people. Sometimes they do not necessarily take you seriously. At least maybe that's the first impression, so they will have to change later on. So this is one side, so this is the people from the business, the distributors, and so on. And from the other side, I think being a woman, it makes, especially when you're like in a man's world, you're really highly respected. And I can tell you from my personal experience that in countries where you think that women's rights are not really taken into consideration, I was the most welcomed, considered, and then appreciated. I'm talking about countries like Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Morocco. I've been to these countries. I maintain good relationship with the distributors as well as the people from the business there. So at the end, I would like to say that regardless of being a man or a woman, it's actually your work, what you deliver, your respect, how you approach the people. This is what will make them respect you or consider you, and regardless of your gender, color, or religion, or whatever. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Dinklage. Actually, today I say I am working for Alexion, a pharma industry. But first of all, I just want to thank that I can be here. It's very impressive to see so many different people and positions and cultures. To myself, I will just go back to the previous panel and I will say we were talking about young people having a career, building up on their career. I do not have a recognizable career path. And I will tell you why. I was born in Romania. My parents immigrated at the age of 11. When I was 11, we went through a very tough time in Romania for the last 4 years before the immigration, because we were not Romanians and we were not Germans. We were nothing. So having said this, my father lost his job and my mother got very sick, and it was my twin sister and myself supporting the family by having a burden on our back, by having, for example, to beg as well, going to the market and try to find something to eat. Finally, with the immigration to Germany, we thought things may change. Actually, for us, being at this age and having had a kind of a German and Romanian background, we came to a school where my grandmother took care of us from a language perspective. But as you may know, in Germany, we had a lot of different cultures that were in their second, third, or even fourth generation that were not really very satisfied having new cultures coming in. So at school we have been bullied, teased, etc. So this was actually where I formed a kind of a mentality by saying learning a lot of languages would allow me to communicate with people. This is why I can say today I speak 7 languages on a proficiency level. I'm learning the 8th. And my career path started in the hotel management, working actually away from home to Italy, together with my twin sister. And from Italy, from the hotel management, we said, I need to do something which brings more money. But as you mentioned right now, Rose, I was pretty much the same, just had no idea of what I'm going to do in my life. So accidentally, I came into credit management. And why? Because I was speaking Italian and French and Dutch. So being in credit control, I had a very good manager, a man, which really motivated me to have a higher cultural awareness of people and dealing with multiple countries. So initially I started being responsible for the UK and Benelux and Germany in credit control, and then it expanded that I was responsible for everything, selling equipment and eliminating faults. I was at a younger age, actually 25, 26, I've been requested to travel a lot through Europe and the US to deal with distributors, with customers, which gave me a better push to become better and better. I started to study credit management when a company has been taken over by another company, and they made a lot of people redundant. At that time I was 7 years with the company, and I said, I'm just going to do something else. And actually I went into education because I have been inspired by a teacher at school, a lady that really showed me what it means to be a good teacher. So being a teacher, I said I would like to give the same back what I've been given by my boss and by my teacher. So I was actually working in a college for, guess what, hotel management in the Netherlands, teaching children in the age between 16 and 28. I can assume a lot of you have children. They do know what it means, what this age means. A college in the Netherlands is, we had from the Minister of Education the directive, we have to take every student if they have a school education or not. So just try to motivate the students to follow an education. And we had a team at school of 37 teachers dealing with this management education that, because they've had a tenure of 30 years experience in teaching, they didn't want to change. They said the student needs to change. This is where I was writing training programs on how to approach the student. After 6 years in education, the project that we were starting from the Ministry of Education was finalized, and I always wanted to see the world, so I got away from the Netherlands and I came to Switzerland, working for another big company, Canadian company, that also showed me, again, credit management. It helped me to reintegrate in credit management in the first place, and secondly, to build up on my professionalism, being a good educator and trainer. Next to this, I did my master in psychology because I thought this is something that I need to do for myself, and they supported me in this. So after this company, they moved a big portion back to Canada. So I came to Alexion, where I am today, managing the credit management. I have the business controllers that are locally in the countries, taking care of collections and credit management, but we are not there where I would like to be. So this is where I'm striving today to perform a very good credit management within the company, especially because Alexion is in the pharma industry, and I didn't have any previous indication in this part. Again, I'm a woman, and when I've been hired, I understood that it didn't matter if I'm a man or a woman, and I really appreciated it very much. I have to admit that I had to fight for my salary, because initially I was told, not only Switzerland, but in most countries, a woman is earning less than a man in the same position, has to do more. But the fight wasn't so big as I was expecting it. So this is me.
Okay, so my name is Alexandra Zubac. I find out now that we all have something same, because I'm living in Czech Republic for more than 20 years, but I was born in Bosnia, and I came to Czech Republic slightly before war started, and basically stayed there because there was so bad situation to return back. My parents were also in the Czech Republic working there, and now my home is in Prague. I started my career as accountant for a few years, then continuing with financial positions, controlling, financial analyst, credit management also somehow come in the whole box of financial functions, and then basically after some years the credit management starts to be the first or my passion and the first one of my work. Now I'm working for Roche for 8 years, And since March of this year, I get the possibility or a challenge to take the logistic role. This is something very new for me and still learning. But my condition for to taking this role is also to keep and stay with credit management, because I said that was my passion, and they fulfill this condition, so now I'm here. Logistics and credit management, somebody's asking how it goes together. I think it's a really perfect combination, because me and my team, we are completely responsible for everything, the whole process from the beginning when the customer sends the order to us till the end, until we get the money paid. And we have to deal with all problems in between and to solve them. I have a team of 6 people, all ladies, by the way. And one is fully dedicated to credit management, as a credit management specialist, 3 order takers, and 2 solving logistic claims. But basically all of them have to cooperate and have to work together to fulfill this credit management. This is the result that we want to get at the end to have paid. When I'm looking now at this conference, I remember I was in the first conference 4 years ago, and I will see if Mark is here. At that time, there was only few women on the conference. There was really completely men's event. There's just ties and suits around me. So I'm really happy to see here many women, and because women really is a big part of credit management, we are good in this job, and of course the men and women have their let's say specialties, or how to say differences, but to do the job, it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. It's just you have to find the concrete approach to the concrete person to whom you are dealing with, and to find a way how to get to the result you want to get. So this is.
Okay, thank you, ladies. We prepared some questions that we got asked talking about women in credit. So for each of you, I have one, and then I would like to ask you to think maybe about questions that interest you. I would like to maybe start with Rose. We had a question: what innovations can companies implement to make career and life balance easier for mothers in credit, since you're a mom?
Yeah, innovation, maybe they can make daycares, or because this is the big thing that I struggled with. So actually I had my second child when I started really my career in credit. So I was on maternity leave, and after 4 months, this is the time that I get in Switzerland, just 4 months. I came back, and I had in mind to ask my manager to reduce my working hours to work like 80%, you know, until my kids are big. And then the first day I came back to work, I knew that my manager resigned, and then they offered me the job. So it was really a tough decision for me. I wanted to work less, so I had to work more. Yeah, I was supported, as I mentioned, by many people, especially my husband, because we had to make sure that we have kids at home, and then we need to take care of them. And then when you talk about Switzerland, you think, okay, it's Europe, it's a very developed country. I think it's maybe the country that anyone would dream to work in, but they are very conservative when it relates to working women, because they do not encourage, the system do not encourage working women. So for them, maybe a woman should raise the kids, stay at home. I do realize that we need to take care of our kids, but if we have a job, a career, I think this would help as well help us raising our kids. So Switzerland, as I mentioned, the system, because daycares are really rare and they are too expensive, and then the school timing is as well not really during the working hours, so all kids, they come home for lunch, and so it was so difficult to manage. But finally, for me, it was good because I found a babysitter. So one of the things that maybe companies can do is to create something. Of course, it depends on how many women they have in these conditions or whatever, just to support the women taking care of their kids. Because for me, it was something important, and then I love my job, I love what I'm doing, but if you ask me what would you choose, your family or your job, I would say definitely my family, because job won't last, but my family will last, and if I have a family, I can easily fight the job, but it's not the other way around.
Thank you. Next question is for Stephanie. Are there any new psychological findings that can be applied to work in credit, since we know you're a psychologist?
Talking about psychology and credit management in one sentence, should we do this? This is a very good question, because I'm applying a lot of my psychology skills in credit management, dealing with my colleagues, my internal customers and also external customers. Going to our point first of women in credit, there is a study that revealed that there is a difference in brain functions of men and women. Men, they tend to perform more predominantly tasks, more left-sided. That means more linear, more logical thinking. Women, and I would like to read my note here, because it's more complex how it's explained. Women use both sides of their brains, because a woman's brain has a larger corpus callosum, which means women can transfer data between the right and the left hemisphere way quicker and more effective. Doesn't mean that men don't. But having said this, women is not linear thinking. That will mean if we just looked at the brain, how the brain is functioning, and looking to the combination between the left and right, we will see that she's using her creativity to take decisions, which a man is more bound on numbers, figures, logic related. So this is why I would say this would be one of the findings, where say maybe having a mixed team of women and men in credit would be favorable for every company, because they would be able to exchange themselves. But also cultural awareness. There are, Rose, you mentioned it earlier, when I've taken the responsibility for more countries in my previous job, there was also the Middle East that I had to deal with. And I've been already warned, as a woman, you won't have any success in these countries. You can forget it, because a sheikh will never talk to you. You will always have to speak to the assistant of the assistant of the assistant. So being responsible for these countries in credit management and having a huge turnover, I said to myself, you know what, you may be a guy, but I will show you that I can be a guy as well. So dealing with these people, I realized that my approach was my weapon. And I should not use the word weapon, but it was a good skill to get from the assistant of the assistant of the assistant to the sheikh directly. And having transferred amounts like 1.5 million within a day, where the previous man responsible for these countries didn't manage it in 60 days. Because he has always been postponed. You know, I'm on holiday, I'm not going to disturb the sheikh for a payment for you. But on the other side, we had to release the order. So cultural awareness is very important to I would say that a woman may be more flexible in this because it's in the mind of a woman to also be submissive when she needs to be, when it's required. Which, in my experience in credit management, I realized that submission is not something on the male side, it's more on the women's side. So I was talking about cultural awareness, and I was talking about women in credit, in the brain, the different hemispheres, how they work. There is also another point, which I'm going back to the real psychology, in which I made some notes here by saying we are providing a lot of training on the logical side of the brain, on the left side. Do we perform training to our credit people, credit controllers on the right side? It's, for example, being creative in what they do, what they think. Do we show them to be aware of their own state of mind, state of being? Yesterday evening, it's funny, I was sitting on the same table with Rose, and we were discussing that sometimes everyone, man or woman, can have a bad day. I would say that if you are not conscious of having a bad day, and you pick up the phone and call customers, you may get in trouble, big trouble. So this is why I say maybe also providing a kind of a training to our colleagues and employees on being aware of yourself. Today I heard from Judith, for example, saying the feeling in credit management. And I also made a note of what Diana was saying. She was mentioning awareness. And I say being aware of the moment is the most important when you're dealing with the other side, who it might be, internal customers, external customers. Brian Morgan mentioned yesterday, think in the present for what you want to be in the future. Which one of the sentences that I had in my classroom on the door when students were coming in was, approach the other from his or her presence and never from your own past, because then you're judging wrongly. I hope I answered your question.
I'm going to read the last one. That is, do you feel like there are still big pay gaps between men and women in credit and in general?
The feeling, I'm not sure because I cannot compare in my company. But there is some statistics, and I was checking some from European Union statistics, and the last numbers was that 70% of women, the woman has a 70% lower salary than the man in the same position. This is only statistics I have. But what is also coming to my mind in these connections, also the discussions about quotas in different branches and also in our branch. When I also do some survey around me between the women, and they mostly say no, quotas, that does not help us. It will look like that we will get to the certain position because of quotas, not because we are well qualified, that we are able to do the job and maybe better than some men. But also there is some people telling me that the quotas make sense in some branches when it's a typically men's branches, and they don't somehow they're keeping their positions and they don't want to allow women to get to their world. So that these quotas can help. I can understand that, but honestly, in my inner feeling is that really I don't want to be judged that I was on a certain position because of the quotas. I was also checking what is in my company, in Roche, and basically there is a kind of solution that for every position there will be in this procedure of searching for a person in the commission, there should be one woman, and also in final attendees has to be at least one woman who is fulfilling requirements for that job, and then at the end should be who is the better. So I think that this is something in between these quotas that we are giving a chance to women, and I think my company really giving a chance to women. And if I ask our HR, they say that basically 40% in Czech Republic, 40% of management positions are taken by women. So this is a high percentage. So as I already said, and I can just feel that you are the better in these psychological things, of course. So this is, I agree completely that this is the question of the skills of every person. Doesn't matter if you are a man and woman.
I would like to add something to, let's say again, going back to psychology. We have spoken about, I've spoken about submissive behavior. I don't know if it's common practice to have so-called thank you calls to your customers in the collection management. What I mean with thank you calls is, you know, there's red light, green, yellow, red. These customers need to be called because we have an excessive amount outstanding. Then the yellows, the due date is approaching, and the green ones, I don't have to bother, they are paying me every time on time. Even this bucket of the green customers, as I call them, I asked my business controllers, just spend 5% of your daily time on this green customers, giving them a call and telling them, thank you for paying me on time. And it's just something that, it's an awareness that we bring to the customers, that they say, hey, I did it and I got a thank you for it. I would not know if I can put this in the same level as being submissive because we say thank you, or maybe just be able to just say thank you, although they're obliged to pay us. Because I would say, and one of the things that I just wrote here on my notes is, allow me to just get it. I said to myself and also to the business controllers, the best financial performance of a company will not pay your invoices if the person that executes the payment is not predisposed to do her task or his task. This is where I say a thank you is a wonderful thing to do for every customer, because if they get a thank you, they will not forget you. You are creating an intimacy in between you and the other person on the other side.
Thank you, ladies. Now, if I can give you space, do you have any questions for any of the ladies? We have somebody with a microphone. Ooh, maybe they're scared of you. Ladies are not.
Thank you. Congratulations to all of you. Very impressive life and career stories. My question is for Stephanie. You mentioned psychology in credit and collection. What role do you think it plays, and even in your example with the sheikh, being somehow a numbers world, do you think the power of influence or psychology balance the numbers, or we should ignore the numbers? What do you think somehow is the ratio? Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. You know, when I came here, I got 2 questions from Adela. One of them was pretty much in your direction. And I said, No, the financial performance is very important. I agree. But on the other hand, if I am providing risk assessment of a company, I am not only looking to numbers. I'm also looking to have the right contact, what I have to be when I want an invoice to be paid, first thing. Secondly, I would like to know with whom am I dealing? Is it just a big department somewhere? We have spoken about finance shared services. Then I want to know who it is in this big organization. And I want to provide this information to my VP so that he knows I have investigated thoroughly everything. Then it's the trade references of the company, which is also important to me to understand how is this company behaving with other suppliers, which is giving me a 360-degree picture of the customer. Going back to your question on the psychology, I wouldn't put this in the psychology bucket. I would say that it's a form that I give to it, the whole picture. Because I'm the one that says to the VP, yes, we can do business with this customer or we can't. It's not the VP, and the VP will never overrule me. He will always say, Stephanie, if your decision is we need a guarantee whatsoever for this particular customer, he will go for it. But I'm wondering, you know, a professor of mine, he said, where do we take decisions? Is it really in our mind or is it in our gut? Where do we take decisions and who is capable to combine them to have the right decision? I have no answers right now for this because I realize that I am looking more to myself and business controllers. Maybe I would like to hear this from you. Are you taking your decisions more mind-related or more a combination of a holistic decision that you're taking?
I would like to add something. Yeah, just one thing to add on that. I think whenever you have the possibility to visit your customers, this is really important because sometimes you get credit reports, you get the financials, you do the analysis, and it doesn't really give you enough backup to the requested credit limit. So whenever you have the chance to visit the customers, because this might like change totally your mind when you go, because sometimes these are like small companies, maybe they are not strong financially, but they are well known in the countries, and this is, I'm talking in countries like in Middle East, when you have like, you don't have like these big corporate companies where you can see very good financials and then you can make the decision. So it's really important whenever you get the chance to meet the customers. This is good to establish the good relationship and as well to make a decision, not just based on numbers.
Okay. Any more questions?
I'm going to have to represent the males because they're not talking. I'm really surprised.
Yay!
The guys, you need to back me up on this one, okay? Have any of you ever met an Irish woman? Because she ain't submissive. I'm talking about my mother or my wife, no way. But I put them into a submissive category. But what I will say, it is a regionalised thing when it comes to where women and men fit in an organisation. And I certainly believe in Ireland, it's equality on salary, how we perceive them, how they perceive us, how we work together. And maybe if I move further east, I think it's a bit like Ireland 20 years ago, 30 years ago, my parents' generation. Women were certainly kept at a lower level up till 1975. A woman couldn't work and have kids in Ireland. So times of, I think 75 was it? You, something like that, yeah. So it's changed over the years. But I think it's really brave that you got up there. But I'm going to ask Mark to put 4 guys up there next year and we can make all our complaints as well.
But you have to differentiate between being submissive at work and at home. It's quite different.
Let me tell you something, I've never met a submissive woman in work across many different regions and continents.
Just to say something, this is stereotypes, of course, men and women, and if it's on the east, that it doesn't mean that 100% of women are submissive in the east. On the west, it's the opposite, of course. What I wanted to say also that we have maybe some experience also when you are applying for a job, that the women are getting the questions which are not never asked the man. Do you have the children? Do you have or have plans? If you're in certain age, they're expecting that you will have a children. That means like complication for the employer. Or they ask how will you deal with if your child will be ill and something like that. They never ask the man these questions, and this is somehow difficult because then I have to really approve that I'm able to do my job, to take care about my children, family, and to do all of these things in 120%. To be as successful as a man. And sometimes I see also, I think all of you see the women on high position when they're looking and acting like a man because they have to survive in the man's world. And honestly, I don't want to end like that. I want to be a woman till the end of my life.
Could I just reply to that? I don't know where the HR departments are getting their legal advice, but it is illegal to ask those kind of questions.
I know it's illegal, but I think that most of us has this experience, not saying it openly, but you have a 5-year-old child, how it looks like, do you have grandparents or something like that? They will not ask you directly. Not in Roche, of course, they will not ask that. This is experience from the previous job, but this is the experience. This is the real world.
Yeah, it's a pity that's still happening, you know, it really is.
Yes, I think so.
Just from in the legal profession, for many years now, there have been more women qualifying than men. So as a result of that, there are a lot of women in very high positions, and they have they have males as their subordinates. Are any of you seeing a problem with males who have women as bosses? What are the kind of issues that you see there?
Well, as I said, now I have just women in my team, but I'm planning to have also one man in the future. Because one of my going to maternity leave.
Talk about football or something.
But I think that the problem will not be if the man is enough self-confident, and the woman will not act as a more man than the man. So they're both sure what they are doing, what is their job. They're able to do it properly. They don't check or deal with this question if the woman is a boss and the man is somehow lower.
I actually prefer having a man as a boss than yeah. No, I mean this is quite true. And then I have as well man in the team, and then it really depends on how you manage that. It's not like, you know, to give them the feeling like they are equal, they are welcomed in the team, and then of course how they perceive it, because I think if they do not like it, they won't apply for the job from the beginning, if they don't want to have a woman as a boss.
If you would tell them that there are other 8 women in a team, I know.
No, there will be
I will find a strong man. But I think it's not about that. What I said in the beginning, it's not about men and women. It's really about the finding people who are able to do their work in a proper way. And then it's just working as a team. That's the base for any other job. It's not just great management.
Any more questions, or are we hungry now? Good. Well, thank you so much, ladies. And if we can spare one more possible round of applause, I like the saying that behind every successful man, there is a powerful and strong woman standing. And when I was young, I told my mother, when I grow up, I want to be shadow eminence. I didn't really know what it meant, but now I saw it during this conference, and this amazing thing wouldn't happen without one lovely lady, and that is Daria Harris. So if you can just spend her a round of applause, because she's being shadow eminence, but she made it happen. If I can say goodbye with one of my favorite quotes, which is from Marlene Albright, that is that there is a special place for hell, for a special place in hell for women that don't help other women. So take that in mind. Thank you so much for your lunch. Thank you, ladies.